So here's our tax planning idea. There's significant variation worldwide. Thank our lucky stars for that. But the type of activity matters, the nationality of the company owners matters, but there's variations of accounting, calculate taxable income. What do we mean by this? Well, we can get the accounting standards. USA allows LIFO. And you all know LIFO, last in, first out. When you've got increasing prices, what happens? Your ending inventory, where it's finished goods, okay, is lower. So therefore your cost of goods manufactured, cost of goods sold is higher, and therefore your net profit is lower. That means you pay less taxes. Oh, we like that when you pay less taxes. Okay, so in Australia they allow accelerated depreciation, but not so much in the US. Okay, so that's nice. You can accelerate, which means there's a higher tax rate, and then it's not like your asset for 10 years. Accelerated depreciation in Australia allows you to write off 20% per year. So 20% of the total amount, there's 20 off. $100, 20% of that, 20, takes you down to 80. Second year, 20% of 80. Then that takes you down to 64. Then 20% of 64, so forth. That's what we mean by accelerated depreciation. 20, 20, 20, 20. Okay? All right? Whereas the straight line is 10, 10, 10, 10 if your average life is 10 years. You know that in Accounting 1. Okay, so we want to keep moving here. I'm very excited because I want to show you some real examples of tax planning. And I gave you the example of Iowa here. All right, so let's go on to our next slide here. What have we got here? I think we've got tax havens. All right. I love tax havens because they create value, creating activities. They create tax planning opportunities, okay? But generally that is the definition of a tax haven. Abnormally low corporate tax rate, no corporate tax income at all, minimum worldwide income taxes, Bahamas, Isle of Man, Liechtenstein. How many of you know where that is? That's over near Switzerland. It's a little country. You'd probably walk across it in a week. Okay, it's not very big. All right. I don't even know if it's larger than, I think it's smaller than Hong Kong. Okay, it's very small. All right. And they make money by having companies register there, and the companies pay registration fees and management fees, and that's how they make the money. Okay. All right. Then the OECD, you're introduced to that last week. Yes, you know all of that, which is great stuff. But we want corporate income tax. We want to go to tax havens. Okay. So what do we mean by some of the tax havens we've got here? Let's have a look. Okay. Let's go across here. So it's really interesting what's happened with these tax havens, because you know back, and we're talking about after the 2008 financial crisis, someone from UBS leaked information about tax US citizens having their accounts in UBS in Switzerland secretly, and so then suddenly the US tax department had evidence that there was secret money being harboured overseas. First evidence. So they always suspected that, didn't have any evidence. Boom. Then they went to UBS and said, look, you know, we'll close down your branches in the US if you don't give us more information. You see, and then the ball started rolling. And then they went to all the other banks and started just making more and more banks to become transparent. If you ask me, or if I was UBS, I would have said, oh, all right, close down my accounts in the US. I want to give the world's population some alternative opportunity to invest their money. But they didn't do that. They realized that it was economically viable for them to keep their branches open in the US and stay in the world system, and so therefore it no longer were able to harbour secretly the cash of US citizens and of course other citizens from other countries around the world. But what the UBS example tells us more about the politics of taxation, the politics that's happening around the world. What you read in the book is just the tip of the iceberg. there's as much politics associated with taxation as there is with logical thinking about the law and what's efficient for enacting the law and for actually verifying the law and making sure that people comply. All right, compliance costs are so darn high in a lot of countries around the world now, okay, because of the politics of the taxation. Okay, it's got involved. All right, so a lot of these havens now are losing their status. They have to more and more have to say, if they want to be part of the world system, receiving and funds and giving funds to other banks, then they have to be transparent and report any US citizens that have accounts with any of these tax haven countries. Like I once had a company with the British Virgin Islands. Okay, I set it up. To hide money? Maybe. Don't have it now, but when I had it, I could put money in it and no one in the world would know that the money in that company belonged to me. See, when you set up a company in these havens, traditionally their attraction was you set a company there and people see the company, they see the assets, okay, but they don't know who the owner is. Separate. And that's all you want to do when you want to hide money from the taxman. That's all you need to do. Okay? And so I could have done that if I wanted to. I didn't set it up for that purpose. But now, if you're a US citizen, when you set up the company, now most of these tax havens have to report to tax authorities if they want to be in that system of transferring money with other banks around the world, the global transfer system. Okay, and if they don't want to be, if they don't share the information, then they're cut out of that system. So you have to go there with a suitcase full of cash and hand it over. That's the only way you put money in and take money out. Okay, so so therefore the tax haven attraction of these countries around the world has gone down. All right, the attraction has gone down. So why do they still exist now? Well, you all know the Cayman Islands, very famous for the VIE structure. I talked about that in week 1 and 2. All right, so they still have an attraction for other reasons. Okay, for having off-sheet balance sheet activities. Okay, variable interest enterprises. So they still exist for that. Okay, so anyway, there's your tax haven. Now